Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kia Tan, and I'll be moderating today's Discover Your UC webinar spotlighting our UC Irvine and UCLA and UC Riverside campuses. This webinar is brought to you by the UC Transfer Preparation Program. Next slide, please. So before we get started, I'd like to just go over a few virtual guidelines. We ask that you use the Q&A button to ask questions. Behind the scene, we have colleagues from our 3 campuses who are spotlighted today, as well as from other UC campuses and other partnership programs such as Puente, Mesa, and Umoja, who are available to answer your questions throughout the entire webinar. So please feel free to use the Q&A button to ask questions. We'll be using the chat function to only send out information for everyone in attendance. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so right now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Janelle from the Irvine campus to start us off.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Again, my name is Janelle Cardenas, and I'm the Assistant Director for Transfer Initiatives at UC Irvine. And before we begin, we wanted to first recognize the history of the land in which the UC Irvine campus occupies and the Indigenous communities to whom the land belongs. We wouldn't be here today without that history. And in order to do that, we would like to begin today's event with the land acknowledgement. We recognize the Ahoshimin and Tongva as the original caretakers of this land. We are grateful to work as guests here in what is today Irvine, the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Ahoshimin and Tongva. I ask that each of us tread lightly, humbly, and with open hearts. We pay respect to the Ahoshimin and Tongva peoples, our ancestors, elders, and all of our relations, past, present, and emerging. And I encourage you, if any of you would like to learn about who the original inhabitants of your land is on, please visit the native-land .ca.
Thank you, Janelle. So next I'll cover our program overview before we continue to spotlighting our campuses. So our program today will consist of why you should consider the UC, covering UC Transfer 101, so all the basics of what the requirements are for UC, transfer support services and resources, and then we'll move on to spotlighting our 3 sister campuses who are here today, and then our live Q&A session at the end. So why should you choose UC? All of us, regardless of which one of our 9 campuses you choose to attend, are undergraduate institutions, and together we have over 700 majors for students to choose from. We conduct research at all of our campuses, so students have the opportunity to work with faculty who are doing groundbreaking research, both at the transfer or first-year level. And these different research projects include things like you can even study abroad with the faculty, and they can actually fund that for you. For example, at UC Merced, some of our students have actually traveled to the different caves in China with faculty where it was funded, and they were able to help them transcribe some of the art and as well as the just the architect of that cave. Anyhow, we also do public service. So today's webinar is brought to you by the UC Transfer Prep Program. And so this is one way in which we ensure that we're getting our information out there and it's accessible to the public if they're interested in UC. We have things like our agricultural centers across the state where if anyone is interested in how to grow their garden the best way possible, you can actually utilize those resources. But across all 9 UCs, we do public service as well. And our students are deeply committed in that, and they help us in doing outreach to different communities. So that's one reason why you should UC. All right, we have 9 different campuses, as I had mentioned. As far north as the Davis campus, which is a little bit west of Sacramento. And then we go as far south as the UC San Diego campus. So we have students who, really, if they're interested, they can go to campuses if they're interested in the coastal campuses, or if you're interested in being closer to the mountains. We have our campus, Merced, as well as the Riverside campus that are more inland. And so really students have an option to choose between the different majors we have, our different locations, just the different environments, right? Each one of our campuses, because of where we're located, also have a different culture and feel to them. And so we do encourage you to make sure you take an opportunity to visit our campuses. Now I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my colleague Jessica, who's going to cover Transfer 101.
Thank you, Kia. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Verasas. I'm the Assistant Director for Transfer in Admissions at UCR, and I want to welcome everyone for joining this space. So let's talk a little bit first about who's a transfer student. Who do we consider a transfer student, and moving into a little bit more information about just the overall basics of transferring to the UC system. So we consider a transfer student as someone who has enrolled in the fall, winter, or spring term at a college or university after high school graduation. So if you have enrolled starting in that fall term after you graduate, you are then considered a transfer student. So if you have just graduated high school, maybe you decided to take a community college course in the summer, then at that point, you still would only be considered a first-year freshman student. However, once we get into that fall semester, so basically our next full academic year, that's when you're looking at being at the transfer level. Next slide. So why should you transfer? What are the benefits? Why would we encourage you to go to a community college? Now, I myself was a transfer student as well. Went to College of the Desert in the Palm Springs area and transferred to UCR, so proud alumni. But there are many different reasons why the transfer route is a really great opportunity to get to the UC system and to continue through your higher education. That includes affordability. Community college tuition is definitely a lot lower compared to other four-year institutions. So if you're looking to save money overall, starting at the community college is a great place. Also too, maybe you're not quite ready to leave home, or you want to stay close to home, whether you have family obligations, if you're a student parent, if you have work obligations. As Kia shared, we have campuses throughout the state of California. So depending on your area, you can consider a local, community college to stay close, help you with that transition a little bit more, and then maybe even consider a local UC campus as well. Or if at that point you're ready to spread your wings and you want to move out a little bit further, then you can consider a UC campus outside of your area. Another reason is you might not be satisfied with the campuses that you originally applied to. Choosing your campuses and choosing your institutions that you want to transfer or apply to is a big decision, and there's a lot of research that goes on with finding the right fit for you. And so maybe as you, if you originally applied in your senior year, and you thought, maybe these campuses that I applied to weren't the best fit for me, no matter where that was. I want to explore some additional options. Let me take a couple years and let me start at the community college and give myself some more time to explore. And speaking of exploring, same goes for your academic or career goals. Maybe you're not quite sure what major you want to pursue or what your ultimate career goal is. And going to the community college will give you that little bit of extra time to explore, to take classes in different areas, to try out different majors, to try out internships in your local area, and help you get a feel for what you might be interested in. So that way, when you're ready to transfer, you have that time. And then again, going back to that affordability component, you have that time and a little bit more financial freedom to do that exploration before you're ready to transfer and apply and have more solid understanding of what you want to pursue your ultimate degree in. And last but definitely not least is academic preparation. We all end, our high school years or wherever we ended our educational journey at different levels. And so you might have been ready to go to a four-year right out of high school, and that's great. But again, for other reasons, you want to attend a community college first. In that case, the community college is going to prepare you the same way and offer the same standard and rigor of courses for that first and second year at your community college, just as if you would have gone to a four-year institution. So you're still going to get academically prepared. You're still going to, community college is college. So you're still going to be in that type of academically rigorous environment. Now, on the flip side, maybe your high school years, you didn't do the best for whatever reason, and that's okay. At community college, that'll give you another opportunity to start fresh, to get focused again, and to be academically prepared to transfer. So no matter what level you end up at, with respect to academic preparation, through the community college, you'll still be able to meet that ultimate transfer goal. Next slide. And some additional advantages of transferring. So UC does give priority to transfer students from the California community colleges versus transfer students that apply from other four-year institutions. So as a California community college student, you have the advantage in that we do give that priority consideration. And there are some additional programs such as the transfer admission guarantee that also give some additional priority and consideration and provide some more specific pathways to transfer. It's also an opportunity to complete your UC general education and lower division requirements, general education such as the IGETC or the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. That is a mouthful for a general education pattern that has been agreed upon by the community colleges and the UCs. If you follow this pattern of courses, it's a total of 11 courses, and you decide to transfer, for the most part, depending on the campus and major you apply to, but the majority of the time, your lower division courses, your general education will be complete. You're also able to take lower division classes within your major. So as I mentioned, that major exploration, taking classes in different areas. Once you've decided on that specific major that you are interested in, you could start taking those specific courses. And as we'll get to a little bit later in the slides, some of those lower division requirements that are specific to a major may actually end up being admissions requirements once you apply. So again, kind of going full circle with academic preparation, there's a lot of different advantages with transferring. Financial benefits, we've already talked about. Courses. So have you taken a sociology class? Maybe you're interested in sociology and what that looks like, ethnic studies, psychology. Maybe you're interested in the STEM fields, engineering. Through your general education, through courses that you take at community college, you have a lot of flexibility to explore and find out where your passion is for choosing your major. And then, of course, access to transfer admission partnerships and resources. This event is sponsored by the Transfer Prep programs throughout the UC system, which is a specific group that helps prepare transfer students. So you get access to our resources and to our support. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off real quick to make sure that I don't keep cutting out, because this is important information. So again, talking about transfer admission partnerships, we have UC staff that go out to the community colleges and provide advising, provide additional resources, summer programs, and so forth. So you do get access to the UC system and support to help you navigate that transfer journey. Next slide. So how to prepare. I like to talk about the preparation part in a numbered fashion, just kind of how you see here on the slide. So one is research your major and research your campus. The University of California is one university, but we have 9 different undergraduate campuses. And as Kia mentioned, each one of our campuses has its own unique flavor, its own unique identity. Some majors are offered across all campuses, some majors are not. Some majors, even though they're the same thing, like psychology, might differ in their area of focus. So really start looking at the different campuses and majors that you might be interested in and start narrowing down which you feel would be the best fit. And that goes right into planning ahead. As a transfer student, planning ahead is super important, whether that's doing your research on your campus, creating an education plan with your counselor at your community college, which will map out all the courses that you need to transfer. Plan is super important. Plan when you're going to need to meet specific dates and deadlines within the transfer process. And that goes with utilizing your resources at the community college. There are tons of resources at community colleges to help you navigate that transfer process, to help you meet those deadlines. As I mentioned, counselors to develop your education plan, transfer centers to help you navigate the transfer process, and other support programs like EOPS, undocumented student centers, MESA, and we're going to get into a few other support programs like Puente and Umoja as well. And then, of course, meet regularly with the UC admissions rep. Once you narrow down the campuses that you're interested in applying to, contact admissions representatives. As I mentioned, I work in admissions. I meet one-on-one with students. I go and visit community colleges. I talk to students. I provide them the specific information that they need to transfer to our campus and to our major. And even if I'm not the person that you're looking to talk to, the UC is a system. We're sister campuses. We have connections with all of our different partners and other campuses. So if I'm not that person, or if you have a question about Merced or Davis or Berkeley or San Diego, even if you talk to one admissions rep, they're more than likely able to connect you with another representative at that campus that you're interested in. And of course, utilizing the UC TAP account, which is our UC Transfer Admission Planner. Think about it as an online course tracker, another really, really great resource to help you through your transfer process. And next slide, please. So junior level transfer requirements, as you navigate, as you take courses, as you're thinking about transfer, the junior level transfer requirements includes 60 semester, 90 transferable quarter semester units. Minimum baseline GPA is a 2.4 to be considered across the UC campus. Now keep in mind that GPAs by campus and by major may vary, but that 2.4 is the baseline. Third thing is the UC 7 course pattern. That is a UC's general education pattern needed to be considered for admission. So you want to make sure to get those 7 courses in, which includes 2 English composition courses, 1 math, and 4 general education courses. And last but not least, completing any required or recommended courses needed for your intended major. So we call that major preparation. Go to the next slide. Which are the specific courses for your major that you will need for admission. Now, not all majors require major preparation, and in those cases, they could be recommended. And we always recommend that you take those courses so that you get a feel for your major. But in the event that those major prep courses are required for admission, definitely use resources like assist.org and campus websites to find out what those specific courses are. Assist.org will tell you what that specific course is that you need to take at your community college and what the equivalent course is at the UC. You may also need to complete specific GPA requirements, have specific grades in specific courses. So there is a little bit of nuance, and that's why it is really important to check with your counselors at your community college and check with UC admissions representatives to make sure that you're on the right track, you're checking all of those boxes and so forth. Next slide. So with that, that is a quick overview of the transfer process and the things that you should be thinking about through your transfer journey. But next, I do want to transition over to some UC partnerships and specifically bring on my colleague, Kathy Martinez, who will talk a little bit more about Puente.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kathy Martinez, and I'm going to share about the program I work for, which is called the Puente Project. So Puente is a community college program that has been around for over 40 years. Some of you may have heard of it since there is a high school version of it, and some of you may have even been participants. Puente means bridge in Spanish. So the program was originally designed back in 1981 to help Latinx students bridge over to universities by assisting them with the transfer process. Today, Puente is open to all students and is at 75 community colleges in California, Texas, and Washington. But most of the sites are actually here in California. So why should you consider joining? Well, throughout this presentation, you're gaining a lot of knowledge about how to go through the transfer process and how much help is actually out there for you. Programs like Puente take it even one step further. We not only want to help you with the transfer process, we want to help you grow and thrive as college students because there's so much to gain through the community college experience. First of all, Puente is free. There's no cost to join the program. You will immediately become part of what is called a learning community. This means that you'll take some of your classes with the same group of students that will support each other. And you'll be assigned to the same English instructor for 2 semesters who will help you to strengthen your writing skills, something that will be useful in most of your other courses. You'll also be assigned a counselor who will stay with you until the time that you actually transfer. So this is actually a huge deal because most students don't have access to a regular counselor and have to make appointments. So your Puente counselor is going to be way more accessible to help you. Other advantages include being able to visit universities, help with financial aid, mentoring, connecting you with research opportunities, career exploration, and even the chance to participate in activities like social, community, and cultural events on campus. And you'll also be able to use your participation in Puente on your UC application when you go to apply. Puente students transfer at higher rates and are very successful once they reach the university level. In order to join, you must sign up before you enroll in your English courses. This is because taking your English courses is actually part of the program. Many of our college programs fill up quickly since Puente has been around a long time and is pretty popular. However, there still may be openings right now at some of our campuses. So on the bottom of this slide, you'll see my email. So you can contact me directly if you're interested, and I'll let you know if we have the program at the campus that you plan on attending this fall. So if you contact me, then I'll try to connect you with the faculty at that campus who can assist you with signing up. So feel free to contact me by email. I'll also stay on here if you want to ask any questions in the Q&A. But at this point, I will turn it over to our next presenter, Brenda, who will share about the MESA program. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, thank you so much, Kathy. I appreciate it. Hello, my name is Brenda Salguero, and I work for the MESA office here at the University of California Office of the President. And I'm so excited to talk about MESA. So MESA stands for Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement. And you can see that this is our mission. MESA serves underrepresented students majoring in calculus-based science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, and who intend to transfer to a 4-year college or university. So we are a 50-year-old program, and we exist throughout the state of California in various middle schools, high schools, universities, and community colleges. And you might have even been a MESA student in middle school or high school, which is great. But whether you are familiar with MESA or not, you are absolutely welcome to participate by reaching out to your director. There's a director on each campus that has a MESA program. And you can find that director's information on our online directory. You can look at also all the campuses that have MESA by clicking that link that's located there at the bottom. And you can also contact Juanita Munoz Torres here at the UC Office of the President, and I can share her information in the chat. And another great bonus about MESA, not only do we have, what we do at MESA is we provide students with academic advising, academic excellence workshops, student study centers with snacks, and professional development, student organizations, so connections to other organizations. But 2 bonuses are the AD Accelerator, which is a online course that teaches MESA students about human-centered design. And students get a bit of compensation for that, a little stipend. And our mentorship program, which pairs students with an employee at either Cisco, Western Digital, or PG&E, and we will be adding more companies soon. So again, if you have any questions, please throw them to me in the chat and Q&A. But yeah, I will pass it on to the next colleague, Sandra.
Thanks. Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Williams-Hamp, and I am the Executive Director of Outreach and Educational Partnerships here at UC Office of the President. I'm excited to share with you highlights of our partnership with Umoja. Emoja is offered at some 60+ community colleges all across the state, where they provide an array of cultural educational experiences anchored in the African American and African diaspora for students. They really advocate for student voice and the importance of students developing leadership and have opportunity for higher education. Through our partnership with Emoja, UC offers enrichment programs, including advising. We partner with summer institutes and annual conferences that are held on various UC campuses. If you're involved in Emoja, they offer an array of cohort and learning communities, really to support students' academic success, as well as offering individual counseling sessions, as well as support. Through our partnership with Emoja, the University of California offers Emoja Days, an opportunity to support students that are considering transferring to the University of California. I encourage you, for more information on Emoja, to please look at the link below, and their regional coordinator, Devon Walker, will be joining us later this afternoon in today's webinar to answer any questions during the Q&A segment. And again, we are honored to partner with Emoja in this important work. I'm now going to turn it over to Janelle.
Hello again, everyone. So next, I apologize, my Zoom always freezes for a moment, but we're going to be discussing a little bit more about the UC Student Support Services. And again, because this is a general, UC presentation, just note that a lot of these services you are going to find on all or most of the different UC campuses, or maybe not under a certain title, might be under a different title. So just be aware of that. But we definitely wanted to provide just an overview of the different support services that you might find at the different UC campuses. So one of the first one that we want to focus on is for students with disabilities. So just be aware that you're going to find a lot of services. For example, if you're in class and you need someone to be a note taker for you, if you need extra time for exams and different accessibility options for you, you are going to find that on a lot of the different UC campuses. As well, if you're a non-traditional student, just be aware that there is going to be services for you as well. So a lot of these different services, you might find like a specific orientation session for you, or there's going to be tutoring, a lot of times free tutoring that you can take advantage of, different programs or workshops that you can get involved in as well if you are a non-traditional student, as well as for a veteran student. So you'll likely have a designated veteran services coordinator who is there to serve you and to provide you with different resources that are available for you. So maybe you'll have an opportunity to have priority registration so that you can get classes before anyone else. Maybe you'll have different financial services. Maybe there's going to be scholarships or different opportunities for you as well. And on this slide, you'll find some links as well. So I highly encourage that you take some time and research all the different opportunities that are available for you. And if we can go to the next slide, please, we'll find some more services as well. So if you are current or former foster youth, again, just be aware there's going to be some services. Maybe if you want to get a job while you're a student, I think that's a really good opportunity, not just to make some extra money, but also to start that kind of kickstart like your professional career. For me, when I was a student, that was kind of the starting point of moving on to what is my career after I want to graduate as well. So there might be a lot of opportunities for you to get connected. For undocumented students as well, you'll likely find a different dream center or maybe under a different title, but you'll find as well different academic or personal counseling available for you, legal advice as well as student organizations, and then specifically for a transfer student. So at UCI, we do have our Transfer Student Center, who is here to, again, provide the services for you to be able to not only help you with your transition into the university, but also start thinking about what is my next goal? Where am I going to go next? Am I going to go on to grad school? Am I going to go straight into my career? So again, we just wanted to provide an overview of the different support services that you'll find on all of our different UC campuses. So if we can go to the next slide, I am actually going to be going into our UC Irvine specific highlight. So just an overview. I know we had the map a little bit earlier, but I just want to provide again, if you're not familiar with where UC Irvine is located, you can see the little anteater on the map. So we're right in the heart of Southern California. So right in between Los Angeles and San Diego. We are in the top 10 public universities, and we're definitely proud of that. And number 2 for in-state applications from minority groups. So we're definitely proud of the diversity that we have in terms of the applications and as well as the student population that we have on our campus. A lot of people seem to not too familiar with Irvine or like Orange County, but the campus is actually only 5 miles away from the beach. So we have a good variety of, again, being the heart of Southern California, you can go to the beach, you can go to the mountain. And then we do have over 150 different majors and minors available for our students. Currently, we're close to about 30,000 students overall, but also there's over 200,000 people in our Anteater alumni network. So many opportunities for you to get connected, as well as the fact that 1/3 of all the Fortune 500 companies are located in Irvine. So a lot of opportunities for you to get connected, do internships, get a job. Again, that's really important to take advantage of the experiences that you have available for you while you are a student. If we can go to the next slide, please. And so here you can see a little snapshot of what our incoming fall of 2022 looked like. So you can see the total applications that we received for transfer students. So it was close to about 23,000 applications, and we did admit a little over 9,000 of those applications. So that was about a little over a 40% overall admit rate for our campus for transfer students. So I think that's really great opportunity for us, and we are part of the TAG program. So I see I've already been looking at all the Q&A that's coming in, and we do have a lot of questions about UC Irvine TAG. So we are part of that. We are one of the 6 UCs. There's some requirements for that. Of course, I don't have time, or I don't remember it all off the top of my head, but I encourage you to check our website for all of those details. And you can also see the median GPA for our California Community College admits, and that was at a 3.8 GPA. We can go to the next slide, please. And I highly encourage you to get connected with UCI admissions. So if you want to sign up to receive different emails about campus or just admissions news, you can go to the website admissions.uci.edu/request-info, as well as follow us on social media. So I am the one that's currently overseeing our UCI transfer admissions Instagram. So we're posting highlights of different majors that we encourage you to kind of think outside the box. Also our Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook all on there. And we are offering one-on-one advice and other events as well. So if you're interested in transferring to UCI in the coming years and you want to speak one-on-one with an admissions counselor, you can do so by going to our admissions website. So I highly encourage you to get connected. And last slide, please, if you can go next. I also wanted to provide a little overview of the UCI transfer prep program. So what it does is it does work with the different local community colleges and high school partners to provide services for students, in particular from educationally disadvantaged backgrounds. So you can see the different things that they provided. So they had community college and 4-year institution application support. They provided peer mentoring, workshops, PIQ review. So a lot of opportunities for you to get support as you are transitioning into that transfer application season that we're getting into very soon. So just wanted to provide that snapshot, and that is it from me. So now I'm going to pass it off to my colleague from UCLA.
Thank you, Janelle. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Diana Elizabeth Torres. I'm also one of the admissions representatives in transfer recruitment at UCLA, and I'm super happy to be here with you all. It's great to see that all of you joined us to learn more about our UC resources, programs, and of course our individual campuses. Joining me here today are my amazing colleagues Jessica and Nathan that are busy typing up the answers in the Q&A. So thank you for asking us all those great questions. In the next minutes that we have together, I want to share with you additional information pertaining to applying to UCLA specifically. Now that my colleague Jessica covered the minimum requirements, as you have noticed, each campus does have sort of like further requirements or recommendations for you all. I'll talk a little bit about our major, some quick facts, and definitely how to contact us so we can keep the conversation going. So let's get started. First off, I just want to say that this information applies to you regardless of where you are on your transfer journey. Your transfer timeline does not have to be 2 years. For some, It may look very well as 2 years, for others it could look like 10, and that is completely fine. There isn't a typical transfer, a typical transfer student, and we welcome students from all backgrounds, whether returning, students with family responsibilities, international students, or maybe a recent high school graduate as well. Keep that in mind as you are going and learning about all of our campuses. Now, through the UC application, as you heard, we have 9 campuses. You can apply to all 9. You're going to be self-reporting all of your academic history, as well as what you have done outside of the classroom. So we already touched on like what the minimum requirements are, so I won't go through those again. But beyond the minimum requirements, each campus will have what are known as selection factors or additional requirements that will help improve your overall application. For UCLA, some of the selection factors are the major preparation and strong academics, of course. And we also strongly recommend maintaining at minimum a 3.2 GPA rather than the UC minimum of 2.4 for UCLA. Now, a little bit about major prep. Keep in mind that as a transfer student, you come in with your major already selected. So this is why we recommend that you complete as many major preparatory courses by the end of spring before you transfer. Majors like business economics, psychology, communication, economics. We'll recommend that students complete their major prep even earlier. Some of them want you to complete it or encourage you to complete it like by the end of fall before transfer. This is why it's so important that you carefully read the important information about the major that's listed on the articulation agreements on assist.org. It's so critical that you are reviewing what is required versus what is recommended information. Lastly, if you are applying to one of our specialty schools, please make sure that you're keeping in mind deadlines for some of the supplementary applications, and I'll touch a little bit on that on the next slide. So aside from looking at your academic history and how well you prepare for the major, something else that we look at is what you have done outside of the classroom. So personal achievements and your activities, my apologies, are what help your application stand out and really helps us as admissions officers get to know you, right? We really want to get to know you through the application, through the writing. We're going to, of course, take a look at your academics and then what you do outside of the classroom. So we're not going to be looking just for like the traditional achievements, such as like being president of 3 clubs or like having an internship. Of course, those are amazing opportunities, but we're going to look for any activity or achievement that demonstrates the qualities that you hold. So for example, for leadership and achievements, that's going to come in a variety of ways. It could be that you're the care provider for your parents, or you have to take care of your siblings. It could be that you're like the main provider. When it comes to initiatives and responsibilities, maybe you are involved in your church, you organize events, community events. It could be that at work you started like a new system or a new program, right, that's going to help. When it comes to responsibilities, right, you don't have to worry about holding like 5 clubs or 3 internships. We're really writing about your involvement if you work or have other personal responsibilities within your household. Maybe you're part of like the military. Some students sometimes do have to take like a gap in education, right, to serve the country. All of that are things that we consider as part of like our review. And then last but not least, of course, some of the special programs that you've already heard of, like Puente, Umoja, Mesa. Make sure that within the UC application, you're talking about how it has influenced you, right? The impact that they've had in you, if any. So don't just list it, but also talk about it. In all, just make sure that you're talking about what you have done outside of the classroom, whether it's at home, in your community, at work, or even like within your school, right? UCLA looks at 3 main factors. So we look at your academic accomplishments, your personal achievements, and last but not least, the PIQ. I know you're probably saying, Dana, the PIQs can be stressful, like I don't know what to write. It's okay, don't stress. You can never go wrong, right? UCLA values the differences and experiences from all of our transfer applicants. And the PIQs is really your opportunity to share your story, right? Whether it's challenges that you've overcome, talking about any experiences that you list within like the other sections of the application, right? Definitely elaborate, expand, and talk about any unique skills that you bring to the table. The most important thing to highlight in your essays is how your experiences, achievements, and hardships affected you in community college and not just your past. So hopefully some of these tips help you as you're getting ready to apply. Now a little bit about majors at UCLA. So we offer an astonishing array of academic opportunities, and it really starts with our faculty. So as you heard, research, you're definitely going to find it within like UCLA. You are learning alongside your professors who are leaders in their respective fields. So that gives you an opportunity to partake in the research alongside as well. Here at UCLA, we have over 125 majors and 90 minors. We have the UCLA College, which houses the majority of our majors, such as like psychology, sociology, linguistics, language studies, my apologies, mathematics, and the list goes on. And we also have our UCLA professional specialty schools, which you can see listed here. The specialty schools are colleges within UCLA that has some of our more vocational, like focused majors, such as engineering, performing and fine arts, and nursing, for example. These schools can have different admission requirements. Some of them may require supplemental applications, as well as different academic requirements that students have to complete. So some of these specialty schools may ask for like auditions, portfolios, additional essays, or more as part of their supplemental application. I do want to note that engineering, education, and public affairs does not require supplemental application, but the other specialty schools do. We do also have 2 new majors that are education and social transformation, and now the public affairs major. So these were previously only available to graduate students, but we now have these 2 undergraduate majors. However, within the UC application, you will find them under the UCLA College. They do not require a supplemental application, and again, their requirements will vary. I know I keep saying requirements are going to vary, right? It's going to vary by major, specialty school. So I know it's a lot of information, but you're not alone. And a great tool that we have for you is the transfer admission guide. So if you can pull out your phone and scan the QR code, I encourage you to do so. Bookmark that page. It will take you to our publications page where you can browse through all of the different materials and tools that we have for you. The transfer admission guide is one that I do highly recommend you spend the time to look through. It has information that we have touched on throughout this whole webinar, as well as like requirements and deadlines for our majors, and especially the specialty schools and their contact information. So definitely take a look at that when you have the chance. Lastly, I do want to encourage you all to apply to the major of your interest and also do a little bit of research. Go on our websites, take a look at what's being done within the major, what are faculty doing as well as far as like research, and know that one major can lead you into so many career paths. Sometimes you go in and, into one major and your path and your career will lead you into another way, and that is completely fine. I'm now shifting gears a little bit. Let me talk a little bit about student life. So our campus, as you know, is located in the vibrant city of Los Angeles. We're just about 8 miles away from Santa Monica Beach, and our beautiful campus offers both on-campus and off-campus for students. And UCLA now offers 2 years of guaranteed housing for all transfer students. So we have university apartments off campus. We also have different dorm options for all of our students. We offer family housing. We also have the transfer experience. So these are like living and learning communities within the dorm. So you get to live with transfer students and start building community as soon as you're on our campus. In addition to housing, we have over 1,000 clubs that you can be a part of, everything from like politics, social awareness, science, fitness, of course, Greek life as well if you're interested in that. And the options are endless. About 74% of our students do participate in student clubs and orgs. And just to name a few, we have like the Student Transfer Outreach and Mentorship Program. We have like a pre-law transfer society, Transfer Med, and much more. I do encourage you to join as many as you can once you are on our campus, because it's just going to make your experience that much better. And then last but not least, we do have a lot of resources for you. Know that you are not alone. As you saw, there's a lot of resources on our campus, so take advantage of them. And depending on how you identify, you'll definitely find a lot more. So again, these are just a few. If you have any other questions, make sure that you ask us through the Q&A. Now, I realize that you may still have a lot of questions, right? Because this is just a brief little highlight of our campus. But again, I encourage you to scan this QR code to view all the resources that we have for you. Here's my contact information. Again, I have 2 of my amazing colleagues in the Q&A ready to answer any of your questions. Know that you're not alone in this journey, and we have admission representatives serving all of the community colleges. So we're here to meet with you answer your questions and support you on this transfer journey. Thank you, and I will now pass it on to my colleague, Jessica at UCR.
All right, thank you so much, Diana. And I'm glad to be joining you all again. I will continue to keep my camera off just to ensure that my internet connection stays stable. Next slide. All right, so just to talk a little bit about the highlights at UCR and kind of what makes UCR unique. I always like to start with that we are unique, we're committed, and we're real. I talked a little bit earlier about how each campus has its own flavor, has its own identity, has its own vibe. And at UCR, I think those three words really encompasses who we are as a campus in terms of we are friendly, we're supportive, we're dedicated to diversity, meaning that, you could walk on campus and you can, ask any person that you see walking for help with whatever it is that you need. A lot of times that person will go out of their way to help you get the information, to show you where to go, to help you during class. And again, kind of that goes hand in hand with being dedicated to diversity. UCR is one of the most diverse campuses across the UC system. We are a Hispanic serving institution. As in addition to, we have this great, we call Costo Hall building of support services that include different ethnic and gender resource centers, including our Chicano student programs, Native American student programs, Undocumented Resource Center, LGBTQ Resource Center, and the list goes on and on. And so, you're able to see that diversity as well as find that support, whether you identify with that specific ethnic or gender population or group or not. It's very, very welcoming. And we're also committed to impactful research. That we are a UC, we are a research institution, and having access and having the ability to do that as transfer students is really important, and to learn from faculty that are experts in their fields, which you'll find that across the campus as well. And real. So again, talking about inclusion, talking about accessibility and attainability, and having that supportive environment where not only are you going to get a world-class education, but you're going to have that supportive environment and that support system that is super important to not only finish your degree, but to do well. And I think that really shows in some of our rankings that you see here on the page, including being one of the top performers at it actually being listed as #1 as a top performer on social mobility, being ranked among the best in the country for quality and affordability, and being one of the top 50 green colleges in the nation. So I think that really goes to show that those different things that we talk about that makes UCR unique, the diversity, the culture of inclusion, impactfulness in our research, just really goes to show here in our rankings. Next slide. So as a transfer student, when you are looking at UCR, as I talked about, diversity and inclusion and all of those different things, at a glance, here are a few transfer stats. We have our transfer students, 58% or just about 58% of our transfer students are first generation college students. The majority of our students do receive some type of financial aid. And out of that, about 67% of those students that do receive aid end up having their full fees covered through grants and or scholarships. And of course, that goes with applying through FAFSA or applying through the California Dream Act application. So again, we have a diverse transfer class coming in, but also a lot of ways to support you all financially as well as academically. Next slide. So talking about majors and talking about the different majors that we have to offer, we have 6 schools and colleges that are for undergraduate students. And you'll see that last one, our School of Medicine, is not an undergraduate college. Our School of Medicine, I always love to highlight because it is a fairly new School of Medicine. We're probably in about our 5th or 6th year. So we've had a few graduating classes go through. But if you are interested in pursuing your MD, becoming a doctor, and you're looking to give back to the community, especially the Inland Empire community, the School of Medicine is a great option because the mission and the whole reason why our School of Medicine was established was to bring doctors to the Inland Empire region where UCR is located within, including the Coachella Valley, because we are considered a medically underserved community. And so we want to bring doctors to this area, educate them, and have them give back here. So when you are looking at your other transfer majors, we have our Marlon and Rosemary Bournes College of Engineering, College of Humanities, Arts and Social Science, School of Education, School of Business. So all of these different schools and colleges is really how we organize our majors. So you'll see our engineering majors are in the College of Engineering. Our largest college, which is the College of Humanities, or we call it CHAS for short, houses the largest number of majors that range from art to economics, political science, you name it. And then our math, bio, life science majors in our College of Natural and Agricultural Sciences. You can see our most popular majors tend to be psychology, business, computer science, sociology, and biology. Those are most popular applied to majors. They can get pretty competitive, but if you want to find out more about our majors, what the area of focus is, what you want to consider, definitely use that QR code that you see on your screen to explore more. We are one of 3 campuses that offers an actual business administration major. So if you are interested in business, definitely consider UCR. And keep in mind that UCR is open for both fall and winter admission. So if you've already been enrolled at the community college, you thought about applying for fall 2022, but didn't quite make the cutoff, maybe you needed some summer classes, or you just needed that one extra semester to get those last admissions requirements in, you still have the opportunity to transfer before fall 2023. And the application is open. You can apply. The deadline is currently July 31st. So you have through the end of the week to get that application in. We do have some closed majors that I will put in the chat a little bit later on. But again, it does give you an opportunity in case you're not quite on the timeline to transfer for fall. We do have that winter option. Next slide. And I also want to highlight just our transfer services that we offer, including transfer resources that are available to our students on campus once they become UCR students and transfer, including peer mentor programs that range throughout the campus, whether that is through our academic success programs, whether they're college-specific transfer peer mentor programs. Our student life office also offers peer mentor programs that are specific to transfer students. So wherever it is that you want to find that space or find that support from a transfer student that's already been there a year, that already navigated the campus a little bit and can show you the ropes and can give you all of those really important tips and tricks, like where to find the free printing, what professors to take for your major, where to get the free food, all of those things are super important. And it's a really great opportunity to connect with a transfer student that's there to learn all those little nuances that you may not find elsewhere. We also have transition programs that are major specific, like our engineering transfer transition program, our CHAS First for our humanities and social science majors, School of Business as well. And then we have a really awesome Veterans Resource Center that provides additional support. Student support for veterans, they collaborate with our Career Center, they collaborate with financial aid to make sure that any of our student veterans or military affiliated students have that smooth transition as well. But before you even get to UCR to utilize these different transfer resources to help you transfer, and again, to help you navigate through your transfer process, your application process, my office offers individual appointments during the fall and spring where you can make an appointment with a transfer admission counselor to talk about your transfer journey. Are you meeting your admissions requirements? When should you apply? What are the dates and deadlines? All of those really important questions that you need to have answered by a UC rep. We do offer those, and we'll begin offering our fall appointments starting in September. For our admitted students, so once you're admitted, there could be a lot of questions that come up, like what do I do next? What other dates and deadlines do I need to know about? Who do I go to for advising once I'm in my major? So we offer drop-ins drop-in Q&A sessions for our admitted students to help answer those questions as well, because it's a little bit different than our one-on-one appointments that we offer for students that haven't applied yet. And then we also plan to offer virtual presentations and workshops like admissions presentations, tag workshops, application workshops, and next steps to enrollment. So again, covering all of the different times in the cycle that you might be in for admissions, as well as transfer student panels. What is it like to be a student at UCR and specifically to be a transfer student? So I have links there at the bottom where you can find out more about when we have our appointments and our virtual events. Our office will be at the community colleges this fall in person. So if you want to check in with us at your campus, utilize your transfer center to get connected with us. For UCR, we have an assigned representative for each campus throughout California, so you can get that specific contact information so you know who to reach out to. And you'll also have our contact information later on in the slides. Next slide. And so with that, that was really quick, but I want to make sure we leave enough time for Q&A. So I'll go ahead and transition that back to Kia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. And thank you to all of our panelists. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and stop sharing our screen. And I'm going to ask that our panelists all come back on camera. So that way we could move into our live Q&A. We had lots of amazing questions. And so before I turn it over to all of them, I do want to just reiterate a few things that were covered in the presentation to make sure that everyone who's joining us got that information. There were some questions about specific majors, which students take, what GPA. And so in the first half of the presentation, we did cover resources and requirements for transferring. And so if you're interested in any one of our specific campuses in a particular major, the best advice we have for you is to visit their admissions website to determine what the requirements are. In general, we have the UC junior level transfer requirements, right? Which are the 7-course pattern, the 60 units, the 2.4 minimum GPA, but that may vary from campus to campus depending on the major. And so the recommendation there that we would all provide you is that definitely visit that campus's admissions website to determine what are the specific requirements, including the GPA, and then visit assist.org to determine what is the articulated equivalent courses you should actually be taking at your community college to meet those requirements. So I want to make sure I let you all know that. There were also some questions about application deadlines, and I think Jessica covered it well too, so I just want to reiterate it. All the UCs are open for fall applications August 1 through November 30th. Some of us do accept applications for winter or what we call spring term, which is open July 1 through the 30th. So depending on you and where you're at in your transfer journey, you may be eligible to transfer to one of our campuses that is open in a spring or winter term as well. And then there were lots of questions for some of our other campuses who are not being on this, who are not spotlight today, right? But they will be joining us the rest of this week, tomorrow and Thursday. And so I do want to encourage you, if you have questions or you want to talk specifically to any one of our other 6 campuses, join us at the same time.
Hello, everyone. I think Kia maybe got frozen, but I think what she was trying to say was we encourage you all to join tomorrow and Wednesday, same time. Different campuses will be spotlighted on the different days. And Kia, whenever you're back, I see you went off camera. I know when lots of Q&A is coming in, sometimes it makes your Zoom freeze a little bit. So we'll see. Is Kia back yet? Okay, well, I think.
Yeah. While we wait for Kia, can I jump in a little double dutch, Janelle, and do an introduction?
Of course, yes, Devon, welcome. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. Okay, so hello, amazing Discover UC people. My name is Devon Walker. So previously, I was a graduate from UC Davis. I used to work for the amazing UC Riverside, and the last UC that I worked for was of the incredible UCLA. But I am now a part of the Umoja community team, and we are working to build Umoja communities at the UC campuses, and of course, throughout the California community college system. So if you are interested in getting in touch with your Umoja program at your particular community college, I did put my email inside of the chat. Feel free to reach out to me, or you can go to the Umoja community website and connect directly to your campus. We offer Umoja courses counseling, and a lot of student leadership and student development opportunities. Next week, we'll be actually on the campus of UC Santa Barbara doing our Student Leadership Summit. And then we also have our Umoja conference coming up in November, which will be in San Diego. So we do a lot of really good work all throughout the year with our students, just like our amazing sister organization, Puente. Love to see y'all in here as well. But yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about Umoja. And of course, I'll answer some questions during this live Q&A.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Janelle, and everybody for bearing with me. As you know, in this virtual environment, sometimes it doesn't work out right. But I'm going to stay camera off to make sure that my audio is working. And if it cuts out again, I'm sure one of my colleagues will kick in and they'll continue the Q&A. So to kick us off, or kick the Q&A off with, the first question we had is IGETC required for transfer? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to one of my admission colleagues. And maybe I'll just pick. So I'll pick Jessica.
Okay, thank you, Kia. I'm going to try to keep camera on, but again, if I'm breaking up, let me know. So is IGETC required? It is not a admissions requirement to UC, but it can be highly recommended for some majors across the UC system, and it can be required as a selection criteria for a specific campus or for a specific major. Now, what does that mean? So earlier in the presentation, we talked about the baseline transfer admissions requirements, the 60 units, the 2.4, the 7 course pattern. We need that across all UC campuses. However, depending on your campus and depending on your major, there may be some additional specific requirements, and IGETC completion can be one of them. So unless it's specifically stated for your campus and major, then you definitely want to complete IGETC. Otherwise, it's usually strongly recommended. Now, I do want to put another caveat note that if you are a STEM major, so science, math, engineering, we would prefer that you focus on your major preparation courses rather than completing IGETC, because we do want you to get those prereq courses versus sacrificing those prereq courses for IGETC completion.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. Our next question is, what is the unit max for junior level transfer? What does this mean for students who complete IGETC or in high unit majors? And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Janelle.
Okay, hi everyone. So yeah, this is, since I'm going to, okay, this one's kind of a hard question because it kind of depends, but generally speaking, when you are attending a California community college, all of your coursework is likely going to be lower division coursework. That means, and again, I'm going into this answer with that assumption. I highly encourage, if you have more specific questions, contact us directly. But that means that when you are a California community college transfer, lower division coursework, you're going to be maxed at 70 semester units. So that means you are not at risk of being a high level junior or even a senior transfer. Again, if you have coursework from a different institution and maybe it's upper division, that's where things get a little bit trickier. But generally, California Community College, you're going to be maxed at 70. So that means you're going to be maxed at the junior level transfer. And was there a second part to that question, Kia?
Yes. What does that mean for students who are part of those higher unit majors if they meet the max rate, but they still have to complete all that required major prep?
Okay, yeah, and if you have to do, again, if you're a California Community College student, you can basically take as many courses as you want, and you're going to get maxed at 70 semester units. Any courses that are above that, you will receive subject credit when you do transfer, but you just won't receive that unit credit. And again, if there's anything extra to add, please, my colleagues, please feel free to do so, but hopefully that covers that.
Thank you. And so I have a question here for our partner programs who are here with us. The first question is, are there similar programs to MESA at the community college that is not required for STEM? So students are interested in programs like MESA, but they're not interested in perhaps majoring in STEM. And maybe I'll start with Brenda first from MESA to talk about if there are students in the program who are not a STEM student, but they participate in MESA.
So we only target STEM students, so we wouldn't actually be serving non-STEM students usually, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to invite Kathy and Devon to talk about their programs again a little bit, because those I know are open to more than just STEM majors too.
Yes, we accept, students from all different majors, so it doesn't matter. Someone just asked, do you have to be Latinx to be in Puente? The answer is no. Puente is open to all students. There is a cultural element to it, that there is some focus on Latinx literature, although we do actually explore all multicultural literature as well in the program. So yeah, I mean, we can accept all students. And someone else had asked too, what if they don't have these programs, all of our programs at the community college that you're going to? Know that there's other services as well. EOPS, there's tutoring, student support services, lots of different programs are there. So always, seek out what you need, and more than likely you'll find something that will fit your needs.
Yeah, and I would like to echo what my sister Kathy said. Umoja is also open to all students, but there is a cultural aspect and an African centeredness that we do teach with. And as long as you are, welcome to learning from an African centered lens, we would love to have you within our classes, within our programs, and to come to our events as well. I would like to also kind of uplift the honors program if you have one at your school, because that is also open to various majors and can also help you get into a lot of these beautiful UC campuses. So I would highly encourage you, if you have an honors program, whether you're in STEM or one of the humanity programs, to definitely see if you can get into that as well.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Devon. Our next question is, what advice, and so this is for admissions folks, what advice would you give to a student in high school who is completing their AST, and how they should apply on the application, whether if it's junior level or freshman? And sorry, that was a two-part question. I'm confusing myself. So what advice would you give to someone who is completing their AST? Do they apply as a junior? Or a freshman? And then what advice would you give them in terms of how to actually input that on the application? And so maybe I'll start with Dina.
I think you meant me, Kia Diana, so I can get us started. So that's a good question. So for students that are doing like dual enrollment, right, you would apply as a first year student, so as a freshman. You would input everything just as any student, all of like your high school coursework, your community college coursework as well. That would be looked at as a rigor, right, that you're like taking challenging courses. So you would apply as a first year. Now, if you want to apply as a transfer student, that you can continue taking community college courses after high school, right? It may be that you do maybe like a year or less, depending on what is needed, like for major prep, right? Like if you completed, I guess, during high school, and you might just have like a major prep to complete. Maybe it's just another year that you may have to do. So I have seen that be sort of more common among students within dual enrollment. But if you are just applying out of high school, you apply as a first year student. And to apply as a transfer student, then you continue on to community college after high school. So I don't know if Janelle or Jessica want to add anything else to that.
I think you did a great job, and I apologize, Diana. Thank you so much. All right. We have another question for our partners who are joining us today. If a student is a part of, say, MESA, can they also participate or apply for Umoja and Puente? And anyone can answer.
So I think I attempted to answer that in the Q&A. There's nothing to say you can't be part of more than one program, but sometimes the coursework that you're taking might be the same, and so you wouldn't be able to participate in both, so there might be some conflict. I think because of all the wraparound services that you're going to get in just one, you may not need to be in both. But, some of our Puente students I know will also be in EOPS because there's some advantages, because there's book vouchers, things like that. But I think students typically are in one or the other, but it's not to say that you can't.
Right. And the only thing I would add to that is we have, our enrolled full-time Umoja scholars, and then we have, the Umoja touch points, right? So you can be fully enrolled in doing the courses and you're doing the summer bridge programs, and that might be difficult to also be in some of these other programs. But if you just want to maybe come to a conference, you just want to be enrolled in one class, then you would be in this kind of Umoja's touch point area, and you can still benefit from some of the resources.
Thank you. Another question we have is regarding the PIQs. There are actually a lot of questions about the PIQ today, but one of I think is common is if I'm applying as a transfer student just 2 years after high school, do I need to change my PIQ responses? What advice would you have for students who are applying a short time after they complete high school? And so any one of our three admissions or even our partners on the line can answer that question.
I can start off, and then if my colleagues want to add anything else, I think, when we're thinking about the transfer experience, it could be very different from what you've done in high school. And although a lot of the questions are similar, I think you might have a different frame of mind, like you might have had different experiences. So I definitely recommend to make your responses more, and even your extracurriculars in general. I think I saw this question come up a lot. You want to make it relevant to what you've done in your college experience or post high school graduation experience. So I think that there's probably a lot of things that need updating, different experiences that you've had, different jobs that you've had, different clubs you've been involved in. So I think that would be something I'd recommend, to review them, and you can use them as a starting point to kind of think about, where have I gone from there? What have I done since then? But I would recommend to definitely reframe them, rewrite them to an extent. And also there is one required question for the transfer students, which is regarding your major preparation and what you've done for that. So that one definitely would need to be different than what you've done for your previous application. And again, if Jessica or Diana, if you want to add anything, please feel free, or any of my colleagues here.
I think you did a great job, Janelle. All right, so a question that we have is, what advice would you give to transfer students if they're applying for a major that has no required or recommended courses for that major?
I could take on that question. So a lot of our majors in our College of Humanities don't have specific course requirements. So typically what we recommend is meet those minimum transfer admissions requirements. That is definitely when I would recommend to complete IGETC, and then try to take some of those lower division courses that you see on Assist. Even though they're not required, those courses are still going to help you prepare for your major. For UCR, when you take those courses, basically, if they're listed on Assist as lower division for that major, you don't have to take them once you transfer. So that'll help you with graduating on time or graduating faster, giving you more room in your schedule to maybe double major or add a minor, study abroad. Just gives you a lot more flexibility overall in your degree completion process.
Yeah, and if I may add, I definitely second Jessica. I think in those cases where if there's no required or recommended, I would encourage as well the IGETC, right? So that once you come onto any campus, you can really dive into the major prep. And depending on what major you're going to be applying to, for example, at UCLA, some of them, if there aren't any available right at your community college, right? There's other ways that you can show interest. Maybe it's taking courses that are related to that major. So for example, the African American studies, there might not be a lot of availability right at community colleges. So one way that we have is you must complete one course related right to African American studies to be considered for that major, right? So it could be within another subject like sociology, right? Or history. So it's always important to connect with admission reps to talk about that major and ways that you can show interest, right? And maybe it's through your activities, extracurriculars, right? The PIQ sort of expressing your interest for that major.
Thank you. All right, so our next question is for students who may be returning to school, say maybe after 10 years, and they didn't do so well in their when they initially started community college, right? Do they need to report those courses? They're doing well now. What advice would you have for those students?
I can take that one. So yes, it is important that when you're applying to the UC system, that you report every course that you've taken at any institution, whether it be California Community College, if you've gone international, if you have any sort of coursework, college level coursework that you need or that you've taken, it needs to be reported. Something that I think is helpful for what we do in the UC process to calculate your GPA is that if you previously have failed a course, and that's a C- or below, I think, give me a, okay, C- or below. If you retake the course and receive the C or above, it actually replaces the grade. So some institutions might like average it, but it actually for the UCs, it replaces that grade as long as it's a valid repeat. So if you do want to look into repeating the courses, those original course grades, again, if they're failing, they will no longer be included in the GPA. So that would be something I recommend, is to consider repeating those courses.
Yeah, and Kia, if I can add a little bit, and this is not going to be everybody's situation, but if you are also able to do academic renewal for some of those older courses, that can also be very helpful to removing some of those grades as well. It's not going to be a one size fits all. You can't remove all the courses, but highly encourage you to connect with your counselor and see what is possible with academic renewal to remove some of those 10-year-old courses from your transcript and really highlight the scholar, the amazing scholar that you are now.
And if I can just do a quick follow-up, really important though, since we're getting close to application time, you need to have been approved for academic renewal to have it as an academic renewal on the application. I know that's a really tough situation that you all are in, but it's really important that you have that approval before you report it as such on the application. So if you're considering 2024 for application, get it started now, get that process started. So that way you can have that academic renewal come next year for the application time. But just wanted to add that in there. But thank you, Devon.
Thank you both. I think the only thing I would add to that is, making sure that you talk about that experience too, and how you've improved your academic, performance and that journey you went on. Obviously, 10 years is a big time frame to have gone by, and lots have happened. And so the UC application, allows for that space for you to provide that information about your life. So that way we can take all of those things into consideration. The next question that I have is regarding the tag. If a student received a tag, an approved tag, can they apply to a different major on the official UC application? And what happens to their tag if they do? So this would probably be for my colleague at Irvine and Riverside.
Yeah, I think it's the same for both UCs. You do have to, in order for your tag to be continue valid, you do need to report the same major. So your primary major on the UC application has to match up with your tag major. So at UCI specifically, we don't do tag for business administration. So students will sometimes put business economics for tag, but then put business admin as their primary. And that means your tag is no longer valid. If you really want business admin, go for it. I encourage you to do so, but you can't do it tag. So that's just one little note. At UCI, again, some UCs may do it differently. We don't pre-approve tags. So unfortunately, you won't know ahead of time. So you just apply and then you'll find out eventually, or when the admissions are sent out. Mm-hmm.
And just to add, so at Riverside, pretty much the same. So we don't do a pre-notification. So you have to submit your tag application in September. And then submit your UC application between that October through November filing period. And if your tag majors don't match up, again, like Janelle said, your tag will no longer be valid, but we will review you for the major that you listed on your application. So you essentially just get reviewed for general admission for that major that you selected on your UC application, not necessarily your tag major.
Awesome. And I just want to highlight, I think a point you both brought up, which is some of our campuses do not do early tag notification and some of our campuses do. So it's important. There's something called the tag matrix. We talked about it earlier in the PowerPoint in the UC Transfer 101. but there's a great resource called the UC Transfer Admissions Planner, the UC TAP. And if you create one of those, there's also a tag matrix there that you can click on, and it will tell you everything about the 6 UC tag campuses and all the different nuances between all of us, which one of us do early notification, what all of our requirements are and so forth. And so I highly just want to plug that and recommend the UC TAP for anyone who's interested, whether if it's in transferring or tagging, because that application feeds into the tag application as well as the UC application. So it's really a great resource for transfer students. The next question I have is actually about major preparation and completing it at 2 different community colleges. So if a transfer student is completing their required major prep, but they're doing it at 2 different colleges, 1, is that allowed? And 2, what advice do you have for those students?
I can take on this question and invite my colleagues to add because it may vary by campus. We totally understand, right? There are community colleges within like one district, for example, right? So you're able to take courses across the different community colleges. I think for the series, any like subject series like calculus, like chemistry, physics, for some of those, it is highly like recommended that you take them at one community college just because the course content may vary across the community colleges, even those within like the same district. But you're not penalized, right? Or like, it's not a negative impact if you do take them across different community colleges. It's just important that you're noting that you're not taking any like duplicative courses, right? And then also just making sure that you're checking the articulation agreement on assist for every single community college that you're going to be taking the major prep at, because even within, again, the same district, it could vary, right? It could be that one course is approved, right, at like De Anza, but it might not be approved at like Foothill College, for example. So you just want to make sure that you're checking on assist.org, and of course, communicating with your counselors and us as admission reps to check in and just be like, this is what I'm planning to do. Do you think this is going to work out? Because it's going to vary by campus as well as vary by community college.
Thank you for that. I think you covered it perfectly. Our next question is about alternate majors. If a student applies to an alternate major and they're admitted into that, can they change their major once they're enrolled? What advice do you have for students in selecting alternate majors?
I can start off, and I don't know if we're all different at UC Irvine. If you're applying to a major, make sure it's something you would be interested in, doing schooling in that major and graduating with that major. So just be prepared. Change of major as a transfer at UCI is not guaranteed. So just be prepared if you're going to select a major, be admitted, decide to come, that might be the major that you end up graduating with. So I think that covers it for Irvine.
For UCLA, we do not review for alternate major unless you're part of the Transfer Alliance program, and that's only available at a number of community colleges. And you do have to like become certified. So there's a whole process for that. So definitely contact me if you have questions around that. But aside from TAP, we do not review for your alternate major. So make sure that you're applying with the major that you're interested, that you're passionate about, that you know that this is what you want to go into. And of course, once you are on any campus, you sort of like what you do outside of the classroom, right, through internships, student orgs, involvement, that's going to complement, right, your major, and all of that together is going to, lead you into your career path and support like your passions as well.
And for UCR, we will review for an alternate major if for some reason you're not eligible for your first choice major. And then it also depends on that second choice major that you're choosing. So you definitely want to make sure that you are prepared and you're meeting admissions requirements for that second choice major as well, if we do consider you for it. In terms of changing your major, it really depends. So if you try to change back to that first choice major, most likely we're not going to approve that because you weren't meeting admissions requirements in the first place. Now, once you're at UCR, it really just depends on the department whether or not they allow you to change your major. So we usually recommend the major that you apply to or come in with and you get admitted to, you should expect to complete your degree in that major.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So as we are getting close to time, I thought it would be fitting since, we have all of you here with us, to maybe end on words of wisdom or advice that any of you might have for all of our students who've attended today. And so maybe we'll start with our partners first, about any words of wisdom you all might have, and then we'll move to our admissions folks, and then I'll go ahead and close out with a few reminders before we conclude today's program. So maybe we'll start with Kathy.
Thank you. I think just enjoy it, enjoy the process. Yes, there's lots of technical things you need to take care of. But really, yeah, enjoy your time in college and take advantage of everything that it has to offer. And don't just go to school and go home. Take advantage of everything. But good luck to you all.
I would definitely echo the same sentiments. Take advantage. It was probably something that I didn't take advantage as much when I went to UC. But yeah, that would be my recommendation for sure.
Nice. I would add to that to on the application, specifically in the PIQs, but any chance that you get, provide as much context of your experience as possible. Right. I know when I originally applied to the UC and a lot of other students, they thought that the barriers or the struggles or the working the job, the having 2 kids, the moving from place to place shouldn't be on the application because that's too personal. Those are the experiences and the barriers that you should communicate so that when we see your grades, when we see the excellent scholar that you are, there's also that extra context in there as well. So don't be shy on that application and try to write as if you're talking to a person, as if you're talking to Kathy, as if you're talking to Jessica, so that they can learn who you are.
I can go next. I encourage you all to, as we're getting especially close to application time, take some time and reflect on what is most important to you. All the UCs are incredible and you will get an incredible experience, but each UC is a little bit different. And what may have been my preference for undergrad may not be your same preference for where you want to attend for a UC campus. And just remember, I think Diana touched on this earlier, but it's also what you do with the experience. So it's not just about major, it's are you going to get involved? Are you going to have internships? Are you in a location that you want to be in? So just remember, it's not just one factor. Think about it as a whole. And also, you want to enjoy the experience. Or are they going to have clubs that you want to get involved in, etc. So that would be my advice.
I definitely echo everything that everyone has said. I think that's such great advice. And, something that I can add on is to keep up with all the deadlines, make note of everything that's coming up. There's so much that's happening, not just with grades, right? Classes, registering, but also like deadlines with the applications. If you're doing tag, right? When you have to like submit the transfer academic update in January, right? Update us with your fall grades. There's a lot of little things, right? So the process doesn't end after you submit your application, whether in October and November, it continues on, right? So just make sure that you're keeping up with all the deadlines, add them to your calendars. If you have a smartphone, add them to your calendar, set reminders. I feel like those are super helpful because you don't want to miss an opportunity just for missing a deadline. So keep up with all of that.
And I'll add, build your support networks, build your support systems at your community college, build relationships with your counselors, with your professors, with students, with your friends, your family, because all your support network is what's going to help you get through the transfer journey and build your support network once you transfer. Going from one, community college to UC, it can be scary. You have to learn how to navigate a new campus. I know from personal experience. And so get out there, get those resources and build that network at the UC you transfer to as well.
great advice. Thank you all so much for your words of advice, for joining us today. It was great to hear from all of you, and a great job for being the first to kick off our Discover Your UC webinar series this week. So before we end today's webinar, I do want to put up our contact information for all 9 of our undergraduate campuses. I invite my colleagues from our different partnership programs to feel free to put that in the chat again too. That was also showcased on their slides as well. And again, this recording will be available to all of you on our UC Transfer Initiative YouTube channel in about 2 weeks. But if you have questions and you'd like to do this again tomorrow, join us at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow we will be spotlighting the UC Merced, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Berkeley campus. And then on Thursday, we will be spotlighting UC San Diego, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Davis. So please join us again. I want to thank all of you so much for participating in our webinar today. And we look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Thank you.